Most people believe riches are complicated, guarded by secret doors, reserved for the lucky or the ruthless, or granted only after years of struggle and sacrifice. This belief alone is the lock on the door. Wealth has never been complex. It has only been misunderstood. The laws that govern abundance are as simple and exact as the laws that govern gravity, and just as impartial. They do not argue with your circumstances, your education, your past, or your present bank balance. They respond only to your inner arrangement of thought, expectation, and command. Life is not reacting to your effort, it is responding to your assumption. You do not receive money because you deserve it, nor because you suffer for it, nor because you chase it until exhausted. You receive money because you have accepted, inwardly and without contradiction, that it belongs to you and moves toward you naturally. The moment this acceptance becomes calm and settled, the outer channels rearrange themselves without strain. People say money is hard to make, but they rarely ask who taught them this sentence. A belief repeated becomes a law in the personal world. Say a thing long enough and life will demonstrate it faithfully. Say that money is scarce and it will hide from you. Say that it comes through struggle, and it will demand struggle as payment. Say that it is simple, orderly, and obedient to your word, and it will move with surprising ease. Abundance does not come from force. Force is a confession of doubt. When you strain, you announce that you do not trust the unseen supply. The universe is not impressed by desperation. It responds to authority, quiet authority, the kind that knows without explaining, the kind that expects without begging, the kind that gives thanks before evidence appears. There is an invisible storehouse where every rightful desire already exists in finished form. Your task is not to build it, but to allow it. Allowance is not passivity, it is alignment. When your thoughts, words, and feelings agree, supply rushes in like water finding its level. When they argue with each other, money hesitates, confused by mixed signals. Many people unknowingly block wealth by resenting those who have it. Resentment is a vow of separation. You cannot condemn a thing and attract it at the same time. Bless wealth wherever you see it. Rejoice in it. Say inwardly, "This is proof that abundance is active in my world." What you praise, you invite. What you criticize, you repel. Getting rich is simpler than you think because it does not require you to become someone else. It requires you to release false agreements. Agreements with lack, agreements with delay, agreements with the idea that life must be hard to be valid. The moment you cancel these inner contracts, new opportunities appear where none were visible before. Old doors open, unexpected contacts arise. Ideas arrive fully formed, carrying their own means of fulfillment. You were never meant to chase money. Money is meant to follow clarity. When your mind is ordered, your finances organize themselves. When your purpose is clear, provision aligns behind it. Confusion repels wealth not because you are unworthy, but because energy cannot move efficiently through disorder. Decide what you want with simplicity and speak it without apology. Do not concern yourself with the how. The how belongs to a greater intelligence than personal reasoning. When you try to figure out every step, you limit the channels. There are ways you have never imagined, routes that bypass your fears and your past failures entirely. Your only work is to remain receptive, expectant, and obedient to intuitive nudges that feel calm rather than frantic. Gratitude is a powerful accelerant. Not gratitude for what you hope to receive, but gratitude for what is already moving. Even before the visible form appears, give thanks that the law is working. Gratitude collapses time. It signals completion. It tells life that you are ready to receive without resistance. If money has been slow to come, do not condemn yourself or the world. Simply change the inner statement. Replace "it's hard" with "it's handled." Replace "I'm trying" with "I'm expecting." Replace "one day" with "now unfolding." Words are seeds. Spoken with feeling, they grow according to their kind. Remember that supply does not come from a job, a person, or an economy. These are channels, not sources. Channels can dry up, the source never does. When one channel closes, another opens if you do not panic and cling to the old. Trust keeps the flow moving. Fear dams it instantly. Riches come when you stop arguing with the idea that you can have them simply because you are alive and conscious. Life does not ration abundance. People ration it with belief. The earth produces without strain. Trees do not struggle to grow fruit. Rivers do not apologize for flowing. All of nature receives by alignment, not by effort. The simpler your thinking becomes, the faster money responds. Complexity is often a disguise for doubt. When you strip wealth down to its truth, you see that it is only energy responding to expectation. Expect with ease, speak with authority, feel with certainty, and act when guided. You are not here to wrestle life into giving. You are here to agree with its generosity. The moment you do, riches stop being a distant goal and become a natural condition, moving toward you as surely as morning follows night. Wealth responds to assumption, not effort, and this truth overturns nearly everything the world has taught you about money. From an early age, people are trained to believe that reward is proportional to exhaustion, that the harder the labor, the greater the return, and that ease is suspicious. This belief is absorbed so deeply that it becomes invisible, operating quietly beneath conscious thought, shaping outcomes without ever being questioned. Yet life itself does not operate on strain. The sun does not work harder to shine brighter, nor does the soil struggle to grow a harvest. Everything in nature functions through alignment, not force, and wealth is no exception. Effort is a physical action, but wealth is an energetic response. When effort is driven by fear, desperation, or the need to prove worth, it carries a vibration that repels ease. You may work endlessly and still feel chased by bills, blocked by delays, or overlooked by opportunity. This is not because you lack discipline, but because your inner assumption is that money must be earned through sacrifice. Life, always obedient, agrees and arranges conditions that match that assumption. An assumption is a quiet decision you have made about how the world works. It is not shouted, it is lived. It shows up in your tone, your expectations, your reactions, and your private conversations with yourself. If you assume money is scarce, you will notice every expense and ignore every opening. If you assume it is difficult, you will unconsciously complicate simple opportunities. If you assume it flows to others but not to you, you will step back just before the moment of receiving. The mind does not respond to wishes, it responds to acceptance. Wishing implies distance. Acceptance implies possession. And you accept wealth as natural to you, your behavior subtly changes. You speak differently. You choose differently. You carry yourself with an ease that attracts cooperation. People trust those who expect good outcomes. Opportunities move toward those who are not trying to wrestle life into submission. Many people confuse effort with value. They believe that if something comes easily, it must be undeserved. This belief creates a constant inner conflict. When money approaches, guilt arises. When success appears, anxiety follows. The individual then sabotages the very thing they have been praying for, simply to remain loyal to an old belief that says, nothing good comes without suffering. Life is generous, but it will not override your loyalty to struggle. Assumption works whether you are aware of it or not. It does not ask for your permission, it simply acts. This is why two people can perform the same work, with the same skill, in the same environment, and receive vastly different results. One assumes success is natural, the other assumes it is fragile. One expects recognition, the other braces for disappointment. Life confirms both. You do not change assumption through force or repetition without feeling. You change it by noticing what you already expect. Listen to your inner commentary. Notice what you say when an opportunity appears. Notice your first reaction to an unexpected expense or an unexpected gain. These reactions reveal your true beliefs more accurately than affirmations spoken without conviction. Effort has its place, but effort follows belief. It does not create it. Inspired action feels light, direct, and timely. Strained action feels heavy, rushed, and endless. Inspired action comes from the assumption that the path will support you. Strained action comes from the fear that nothing will work unless you push harder. The same action can produce opposite results depending on the assumption behind it. When you assume wealth is responsive, you stop chasing and start allowing. Allowing does not mean inactivity, it means acting without panic. It means making decisions without the pressure to control every outcome. It means trusting that what is meant for you cannot miss you. And what misses you was never yours to manage. People often say, "I'll believe it when I see it," not realizing that this sentence reverses the law. Seeing follows believing, not the other way around. The invisible precedes the visible. Every structure begins as an idea, every fortune as an assumption entertained long enough to solidify. Those who understand this do not wait for permission from circumstances. They move from inner certainty outward. Assumption also governs timing. When you assume things take a long time, they do. When you assume delay is normal, life inserts pauses. When you assume things move quickly and smoothly, doors open with surprising speed. Time is not fixed, it stretches and contracts according to expectation. Urgency slows things down. Calm confidence accelerates them. It is not necessary to understand all the mechanics of wealth. Complexity is not a requirement for effectiveness. In fact, the simpler the assumption, the cleaner the result. A child assumes care and provision without analyzing sources, and life responds through parents, teachers, and helpers. Adults lose this ease by replacing trust with calculation. Calculation narrows the field of possibility. Trust expands it. If you have struggled financially, it does not mean you have failed. It means you have been loyal to an assumption that no longer serves you. Loyalty can be changed. The moment you decide that effort is no longer your currency and expectation is, your inner posture shifts. You stop negotiating with life and start commanding it quietly. Command does not mean arrogance. It means clarity. It means knowing what you accept as true and refusing to entertain thoughts that contradict it. When doubt appears, you do not wrestle with it, you replace it. When fear speaks, you do not argue, you choose again. Over time, the new assumption settles, and life reorganizes to match it. Wealth is not impressed by exhaustion, it is attracted to coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and expectations agree, money finds its way to you through channels you could not have planned. Old problems dissolve. New solutions appear. The outer world begins to mirror the inner order you have established. You are not designed to earn abundance through depletion, you are designed to receive it through alignment. The less you argue with this idea, the more naturally wealth responds. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth through effort, life begins to confirm it through results. Money flows through alignment, not struggle. And this truth dissolves the long-held belief that tension, sacrifice, and constant pressure are signs of progress. Struggle has been glorified for so long that many people feel uneasy when things move smoothly. Ease feels unfamiliar, almost unearned, yet ease is the natural state of alignment. When you are aligned, life cooperates. When you are misaligned, everything feels heavy, delayed, and resistant, no matter how hard you push. Alignment begins within. It is the agreement between what you desire, what you expect, and what you feel is possible. When these three are in harmony, money moves toward you without force. When they contradict each other, struggle appears. A person may say they want wealth, but inwardly expect disappointment and emotionally prepare for loss. Life responds to the strongest signal, not the spoken wish. The emotional expectation always outweighs the verbal request. Struggle is not proof of effort, it is evidence of resistance. Resistance is created when you believe that something is difficult, unlikely, or reserved for others. The mind then tightens, scanning for danger, anticipating obstacles, and exhausting itself with imagined problems. This mental tension disrupts the natural flow of ideas, timing, and connections that bring financial opportunities into form. Money is sensitive to clarity. When your direction is confused, money hesitates. When your intention is scattered, money scatters. Alignment does not require you to know every step. It requires you to know what you accept as true. If you accept that life supports you, you will notice support everywhere. If you accept that the world is hostile, you will find endless evidence to confirm it. Many people work hard but remain financially stagnant because their inner alignment is divided. They push forward while inwardly expecting failure. They act while secretly fearing success. They desire wealth while resenting those who have it. These inner conflicts create friction. Energy cannot flow cleanly through contradiction. Money moves where there is agreement, not argument. Struggle often comes from trying to force outcomes through logic alone. Logic sees only what has already happened. Alignment opens the door to what has not yet been seen. There are solutions that do not exist in your current awareness. When you relax your grip on control, these solutions rise to the surface. Intuition speaks in calm impressions, not in frantic thoughts. Those who listen to it move at the right time, not just the fast time. Alignment also affects the people you attract. When you are aligned, you encounter cooperation instead of competition. Conversations open instead of close. Deals unfold naturally instead of requiring persuasion. When you are struggling, every interaction feels like a battle. You explain too much, justify too often, and settle too quickly, all because you are trying to secure something you do not trust will come easily. There is a difference between discipline and strain. Discipline is steady and composed. Strain is urgent and anxious. Discipline grows wealth over time. Strain burns energy without building stability. Alignment allows discipline to work without exhaustion. You show up consistently, but without the feeling that your survival depends on each outcome. Money does not reward suffering. It reflects confidence. Confidence is not bravado, it is inner agreement. When you trust that you are supported, you make clearer decisions. You walk away from what drains you. You recognize when an opport. Unity is not aligned and decline it without fear. This discernment protects your energy and keeps the flow unobstructed. Many people unknowingly block money by clinging to situations that no longer fit them. They stay in roles that stifle growth because they fear instability. This fear sends a signal of contraction. Alignment sometimes requires release. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space for something greater to enter. Space is essential for flow. Struggle narrows your vision. Alignment expands it. When you are aligned, ideas arrive unexpectedly. You see connections others miss. You recognize value where others see risk. These insights are not random. They are the result of a mind no longer clouded by fear. Money follows insight because insight leads to intelligent action. The belief that struggle builds character has caused many to endure unnecessary hardship. Character is built through integrity, clarity, and trust, not through constant stress. Stress distorts perception. Under stress, you choose survival over strategy. Alignment restores perspective. You respond rather than react. You move with intention rather than urgency. Timing is also governed by alignment. When you are aligned, you act at the right moment. When you are struggling, you act too early or too late. Forcing things creates delays because it pushes against the natural rhythm of events. Waiting in alignment is not procrastination, it is preparation. It allows circumstances to assemble in your favor. Money flows where there is receptivity. Receptivity requires relaxation. You cannot receive with clenched hands. When you relax your inner resistance, you become open to unexpected channels. Opportunities appear through conversations, ideas, and invitations that could not have been planned. These are not accidents, they are the result of allowing life to assist you. Alignment also transforms your relationship with action. You still work, but your work feels purposeful rather than draining. You focus on what matters instead of doing everything at once. You trust that each aligned step carries its own momentum. This trust eliminates the need to overextend yourself. When money does not arrive, the aligned response is not panic, but adjustment. You examine your inner state, not with judgment, but with curiosity. You ask where you are resisting, where you are forcing, where you are doubting. The moment alignment is restored, movement resumes. Struggle is loud and exhausting. Alignment is quiet and effective. The world may praise struggle, but life rewards harmony. When you choose alignment over force, money stops being something you chase and becomes something that meets you where you stand. Simplicity of belief unlocks unlimited supply because life responds to what is clear, not to what is complicated. Complexity is often mistaken for wisdom, yet complexity usually arises from doubt. When the mind is uncertain, it adds layers of conditions, exceptions, and explanations. When the mind is certain, it becomes simple. Wealth responds to certainty, and certainty expresses itself as uncomplicated belief. A simple belief is not naive, it is decisive. It does not argue with itself. It does not require constant reinforcement. It rests easily in the idea that supply is natural and available. When belief becomes simple, energy stops scattering. Focus sharpens, decisions become cleaner, money flows where there is no inner confusion about whether it is allowed to arrive. Many people hold wealth at a distance by overthinking it. They analyze markets, systems, timing, and risk to the point of paralysis. While practical knowledge has value, overanalysis often masks fear. The mind tries to protect itself by gathering more information, believing that certainty will eventually appear. But certainty is not found through accumulation of facts, it is established through inner agreement. Simplicity removes the mental noise that blocks intuition. When belief is complicated, intuition is drowned out by conflicting thoughts. When belief is simple, intuition becomes audible. Intuition guides you toward the right action at the right time, often in ways that logic cannot justify. These subtle directions lead to outcomes that seem effortless from the outside. Unlimited supply does not mean uncontrolled excess, it means uninterrupted flow. Flow depends on openness. Openness is created by trust. Trust is the foundation of simple belief. When you trust that life supports you, you stop bracing for loss. You stop rehearsing failure. You stop preparing excuses. This mental relaxation allows opportunities to approach without resistance. Children understand simplicity naturally. They expect to be fed, clothed, and cared for without understanding the logistics. Their belief is uncomplicated, and life meets it through parents, teachers, and helpers. As adults, people replace this trust with conditions. They believe supply depends on effort, approval, timing, or luck. Each condition adds friction to the flow. Simplicity also affects language. When belief is simple, speech becomes direct. You say what you want without apology. You state your intentions without over-explaining. Over-explaining is a sign of doubt. It is an attempt to convince others because you are not fully convinced yourself. Clear speech carries authority, and authority attracts cooperation. Unlimited supply cannot move through a mind obsessed with limitation. Limitation thrives on comparison. When you compare your progress to others, you complicate your belief. You begin to measure, judge, and doubt. Simplicity ends comparison. It recognizes that supply is not divided into portions. What reaches another does not reduce what can reach you. Many people sabotage abundance by trying to make belief complicated enough to feel safe. They think that if they expect too much, disappointment will hurt more. So they lower expectations, add disclaimers, and prepare for the worst. This cautious belief produces cautious results. Life mirrors the level of allowance you grant it. A simple belief is bold without being aggressive. It does not demand proof before relaxing. It assumes support and adjusts when necessary. This flexibility keeps the flow alive. Rigid beliefs, even positive ones, can create resistance. Simplicity allows movement. It holds an idea lightly but confidently without obsession. When belief is simple, gratitude arises naturally. Gratitude is not forced appreciation, it is recognition of alignment. You notice small signs of support and treat them as evidence, not coincidences. Each acknowledgement strengthens belief. Each strengthening clears another obstruction. The flow increases without effort. Simplicity also shortens the distance between desire and manifestation. Complex belief stretches time. It adds waiting, preparation, and conditions. Simple belief collapses time by assuming immediacy. This does not mean impatience, it means expectancy. Expectancy keeps you alert to opportunities as they appear. Unlimited supply often arrives through ordinary means. People miss it because they expect dramatic events. Simplicity allows you to recognize value in simple ideas, casual conversations, and small openings. These small openings expand when met with belief instead of skepticism. Fear complicates belief. Fear asks endless questions. What if it fails? What if it works and I cannot handle it? What if others disapprove? Each question fractures certainty. Simplicity answers fear by refusing to engage it. It chooses one clear assumption and returns to it repeatedly without debate. Belief does not need to be perfect to be effective. It needs to be consistent. Simplicity makes consistency possible. When belief is complex, you forget what you decided yesterday. When belief is simple, you live it naturally. Your actions align without conscious effort. Unlimited supply is not impressed by intelligence, strategy, or struggle. It responds to openness and clarity. The simpler the belief, the wider the opening. When you stop trying to understand everything, you begin to receive more. Life is always offering more than you are willing to accept. Acceptance is the gatekeeper. Simplicity opens the gate by removing unnecessary conditions. It says yes without negotiation. It trusts the process without micromanagement. When belief becomes simple, the mind quiets. In that quiet, guidance becomes clear. You know when to act and when to wait. You recognize opportunities without chasing them. You move confidently without needing constant reassurance. The greatest limitation is not lack of resources, but lack of allowance. Allowance is a decision. Decide simply. Decide without qualifiers. Decide without explaining to yourself why it should work. The moment beliefs simplify. Yes. Supply stops hesitating and begins to respond.